Hello. It's me, Amanda. By request, I'm going to do a quote unquote pose tutorial. I don't, disclaimer, I'm not an art teacher or someone who I think has professional ground on telling people how to draw or teach them how to draw. This is just like based on like my personal experience as an art person, as a person who makes art, and what I tend to do. So I have like a bunch of notes here to just kind of guide me because this is probably just going to be like stream of consciousness talking about process and and things. So take it as you will. This is not meant as a Bible or anything. It's just sort of how I go about things. You'll notice also that I just use this crazy canvas size because I don't know. It's nice to drop big, I suppose. So disclaimer, I'm not as I learned as an artist, I was not someone who did use a ton of references until much later. So that's a me problem. First of all. Um So you'll, I don't know if that's like evident in the way I draw, but it's the truth. I was bad about it, but you know, we're getting better now about it. Um, so hold on, I have notes. I don't know why I'm not looking at my notes. So even though I personally suck at using references, use refs, learn how to use references. They will help you, they will guide you. They exist for a reason to make us better artists because you can learn so much from other artists and sort of what you see, but you learn a lot from studying people first. That's going to be one of the main things I talk about later. I'm just trying to follow the order of my notes here. So, sorry, I'm just like doing a couple of practice sketches because I was like, I don't know where to start. I just kind of pull poses out of thin air, I guess. That's what I've been told, where I just, um, you know, just pull it out of nowhere, I guess. Which is, you know, kind of true, but it does come from a place of studying. I don't know how else to describe it. Um, so um, let's talk firstly about sort of how to use references. I'm not going to be using references today. I'll just be doodling, and then you'll see that I don't know anything actually. So I think one of the main things I've noticed as an artist, and like with regards to references, is sort of that I don't know if how to say. I don't think it's that people are using them incorrectly. I lost my mouse, but I think that as an artist, it's normal to worry about things being anatomically correct. And I'm here to tell you that it's okay to sort of break that out of that, and it's great. But if you scare yourself into getting things quote unquote right, you're gonna have a harder time finding a sort of natural shape and feel and flow of your poses than like if you just worry about other things, I guess. I don't know how to put it into words, but I think that's where people get into like worry that their poses are like too stiff or like not natural, is because like you're worrying too much about it being accurate to the human form. And that's something else. Like the human form, there isn't really something like the perfect ideal form to follow for art. Like not just like in art purposes, but yeah, you know, like human beings come in all shapes and sizes, and you're not gonna like always draw someone that is like anatomically perfect, because I don't think they exist. People are diverse, and the way we look, the way we um, have bodies, it's not what's the word? Always going to be like in quote unquote perfect form. I don't know how to describe it. It's very strange, I think. um, and that's something to keep an eye on. Another thing that I want to talk briefly about is contrappasto. If you've ever taken an art history class, you're probably very familiar with this term. Contrappasto, an Italian term. Let me, sorry if I like stop, it's because I don't know anything. I've said this. It's basically Italian for opposite. So in visual arts, most notably in sculpture in times of antiquity, it was basically just, you know, like people standing not straight up like this, but having a bit of curve and a change of axis, like you know, the top of the body, and then your hips are going one way or twisting one way, and you put all your weight on one foot while the other sort of hangs out, you know? I don't think I'm accurately depicting it in this. I think here, this is more of a contrapposto pose where the spine is, you have your hips twisting one way and you have all your weight on one foot while the other foot is more relaxed, and the shoulders are, you know, not ramrod straight. Nobody stands like a doll is essentially the lesson here. So I just wanted to touch upon like contrapposto and how it's used in sculpture, but it's also really important, I think, for just any sort of art form to understand that the human body isn't, what's the word? Static. And it kind of gets you out of your own head to not, when you think about poses and sort of what sort of actions you draw your characters taking. Nobody stands ramrod straight. Nobody stands in a really posed way. I think we forget that as like as artists in real life, that not everyone is going to be posing like a supermodel. People are just people, and there's a lot of personality, and when you just like not think about it, I suppose. Or no, don't overthink it, I think is what I mean. Um, what's sorry, referring to my notes again. Yeah, so you know, like posable dolls and models and these sort of stock photos, they are nothing on how you as a person are your greatest reference tool. Um, I think when you think about stiffness in poses and sort of like worrying about like, is this person standing naturally, you can look to yourself more often than not. Human beings mannerisms are your greatest tool, and I think I mean this like we as people, we sort of interact and move in ways that are, human, like something that's like natural, not something that a stock photo or a model reference can give to you. Like there are those really great dramatic poses that you can only get in stock images, but there are also those really natural ones that you can notice just by doing observation exercises, just by going out in the world and sort of observing how people in your household, your friends, how you guys all sit and interact and talk. And that brings a lot more life and personality into your art, I think. Um, I think I had a train of thought and I lost it. It's basically just like study yourself, study your friends, pay attention to people's mannerisms, and you'll have a better understanding of like how people casually do things. You'll notice how different body parts talk. I think a great example of this is like paying attention to people's hands, and when they're in conversation, you may notice like people like gesticulate wildly, and you may even notice yourself gesticulate wildly, but you didn't really pay attention to it because that's just like something you do. It's a lot about paying attention and having real observation of yourself and your friends and yada yada. Um, and like pay attention to like people with certain personalities, how they present themselves. An introverted, shyer person will probably be more closed in and stand with like their arms folded, or like, not really engaged, while someone who is of a louder, bolder personality is going to be more open, and they will probably be your friend that is gesticulating wildly while telling a story. Sometimes that's what people do, and it's just like those kind of mannerisms to pay attention to when thinking about poses. um, I think that's kind of all I can say about like natural poses, natural movement of the body. Um, and I don't know if that really helps. Another thing I have is doing post studies, like not just like drawing from reference and sticking close to your references. And again, I do recommend references, but when you use references, um, there's a technique where you can just study a photo and draw the pose once, and you're going to end up with something static because you are worrying again about being anatomically correct. But what you can do to sort of combat that stiffness and that sort of worry is draw it more than once for real. Um, you can learn from a reference how to do something, but then once you have an understanding of where body parts go in the image you are looking at, how the body moves in what you're studying, and then take that and draw it again, and then draw it again, and draw it without ever looking at your reference, without pulling it up, because at that point, after you've done it 2 or 3 times, your muscles will know where things fall, and you'll know. That's the best way I can put it. You're you don't have to always use references. You get an understanding, your body will understand how to draw poses, how bodies work. And once you've got that all sorted, and know and understand those aspects, you can rely less on help and rely more on your mind. And it's great and satisfying, I think, to get to that point. And again, like you can fudge things. Art is not an absolute where you have to be anatomically correct. We are not Renaissance artists anymore. Although if that's your aspiration, that's cool. But fudging things is okay. You don't, you can just you can vibe as an artist. You can vibe. Um, let's see. Let's see. Um, yeah, so your hand will memorize it as you go along. Again, I think studying from real life, and again, if you want to study, one of my favorite things to do is when I'm bored, I'll just like look up a random sport and study references from there because sports pose candid photography, always look into candid poses and candid sort of I lost my words. Candid photography. Always look to those a lot more than other pose references, simply because the whole point of candid photography is they aren't posed photos. They're very natural photos by people who are just, or photos of people just like in motion, just doing things. And I think those are infinitely helpful because then you see motion that is natural, is what I'm trying to say here. And you want those natural poses. I love looking up like sports references and like sports photos in motion because those are the kind of pictures where people aren't necessarily posing because they're in motion. You don't, what's the word? They can't sort of exaggerate features for you. They're just there, like in the moment, doing human body things that their bodies are capable of. Like, I love dance references. I love sports references. My favorite are like pole vaulting and figure skating is another really good one. I also really like joggers or like skaters. Dancers is another really good source of pose reference. Because like they're again like in motion. What are they going to do? Stop being in motion to get you the perfect photo angle? No. Yeah, I think, yeah, I don't know what else to say. That was kind of all my notes had. Another thing is, do not be afraid of line art. Do not be afraid of bold strokes. And if you do not worry about getting things right, I think that's the biggest thing I can say. If you are looking for dynamic poses, pay attention to contrappasto all the time. It's not just for sculptures. And again, like look at look at candid photos, look at observe from life, observe your friends. I don't know. This wasn't necessarily an anatomy reference. I don't know if this helped at all. Another thing I think I mentioned briefly is like when talking about drawing people, consider people's mannerisms, your character and their personality. If the feature, if the person you're drawing is like lazy or like often lethargic, they're gonna act and behave in ways that a more active person wouldn't. I don't know if that makes sense. That's kind of what I'm thinking, sort of. And again, like study your references, but don't get stuck in the idea that you have to be 100% accurate to the human form. Things can be fudged. That's Things can be fudged, and you will have a lot more fun drawing things if you let go. um, yeah, I'm not sure what else to talk about. Oh, another fun exercise, actually. How long is this? I've been going for 20 minutes, just sort of stream of consciousness talking about poses. That's crazy. Another fun thing you can do is where you have the basic building blocks of your human figure. And then instead of, what's the word? Just drawing arms and legs, just kind of go wild. I tend to start with the placement of the hands before I place the arms anywhere. Because once you know where the hands are, then you'll have a better time figuring out, okay, here's here's sort of the angle trick where you connect arm to shoulder, and then the midpoint is where the elbow is, and then yep, that's correct. And then you can have fun like that. Remember, people are not what's the word? Flat. People are 3D. We are made of flesh and bone and blood, and you can practice like just doodling, just kind of doodling. I personally love just kind of doing these sort of tiny figures with stick arms and legs, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go off, make limbs do whatever I want, make them sort of work however I want, and it helps to just kind of go crazy with it. And I think it will help you too. So that's where this is gonna end. I don't know if you learned anything. I feel like I was all over the place. Again, very stream of consciousness. I'm not a teacher. I'm sorry if you expected like a real strong tutorial. I like poses. Poses are fun, and they can be fun if you just let go. I think I keep saying that. I feel like that's really bad art advice, but it's true. If you loosen up, if you stop considering like, is this anatomically correct, and consider more like what is natural for people, and how people sort of work and move on their own. If you do a lot of more life studies, and when you study references, draw without references, just keep drawing the same pose until you figure it out, until your muscle memory remembers how to do it, and then you can loosen up in a lot of ways like that. But yeah, this is my art tutorial on sort of dynamic poses, or like strengthen your poses. Thank you if you somehow watched this whole thing. If you didn't, that's fair. Yeah, that's all. Thank you. Goodbye.